Welcome to People's Daily Studio, where prominent voices from China and the world share their insights. I'm Huilan. Today we are joined by Mr. Fang Li. He is both a marine technology expert and also a filmmaker. His latest project, The Sinking of the Lisbon Maru, uncovers a powerful wartime story of tragic sinking and heroic rescues. Welcome, Mr. Fang.
It's my pleasure to meet you.
Thank you. So the film is based on a story of a shipwreck and a rescue mission that you heard a decade ago from the fishermen in Zhoushan. So we wonder, how did you feel when you first heard about the story, and what motivated you to bring it to the screen?
Well, to begin with, it's not just trying to make a film. Well, first time when I heard about this story, I said, Jesus, how could I never heard about this? I pretty much know the World War II history in China and the Pacific pretty well, but never heard about this big sea disaster and the tragedy. So when I verified with the local people, everybody was telling me it is a true story, what happened 82 years ago. I also heard nobody has ever found that shipwreck. So simply it's my professional curiosity. Whenever there's something lost at sea, nobody found it, I immediately get excited. I want to go see how can I find it. And so 2 years later, that's 2016, I took my team, and the first few days never found anything. We believe the coordinate Japanese military recorded was not correct. We scanned the whole area in those islands. We found a shipwreck. But how can I prove it? So the following year, 2017, in September, I took home my team with all kind of tools from the drone base, the magnetometer, a side scan sonar, multi-beam sonar for imaging, unmanned survey vessel, underwater robots, everything. Just trying to prove that's the Lisbon Maru, that we did it. So after you did all the survey verification, there was one moving moment when I was at the sea. It was the day of September the 9th, 2017. When we finished the survey that afternoon, when we evacuating from the sea, the last moment when I was standing on deck, one of a sudden something triggered you, because 30 meters below my deck, there are 828 men, young men, Allied soldiers. They're pretty much my son's age. They're forgotten. Nobody knows who they are, where they came from, and what's their name, what happened. Nobody knows. So it was a very strong and trigger to me. Then when I came back to the shore, and one of a sudden I heard the witness who's participated in the rescue, the fisherman. There's only one gentleman left, Mr. Ling again, whose age is 94 years old already. And then we also heard that there's another British soldier still alive, Dennis Morley, whose age is 98 years old. Because that year my dad was 95 years old. So I know precisely those the old gentlemen, do not have much time. So I would just simply realize that we need to catch up time to record a history.
Yeah, you've mentioned that we've got only very few survivors at the time, when you heard about the story, and you kind of salvaged this piece of history. So we wonder, why is this history relevant to you and us, and why is it so important to be told by the Chinese people?
Well, you see, this is something happening in China, right? Directly on Chinese territory, such a big scale. We're talking about 1816. And the Allied soldiers suffered. Japanese were shooting at them, and they're all in the water escaping. Multiple people got killed. 828 are still there. So why it is important is because this is the last window To me, I realized that because I understand the history about World War II and other events we all heard about, like a Chinese troop got into Burma, helped British troops evacuated to India, also the American pilots who bombed Tokyo, and actually forced landing in South Zhejiang. Chinese guerrilla civilians are rescuing them. We all heard about this. But you look at Lisbon Maru incidents, such a big scale sea disaster. For instance, we know, everyone knows about Titanic, right? The victim of Titanic is 1,500. The passenger on Titanic is only 2,200. But you look at Lisbon Maru, Japanese, Chinese fishermen, crew together, it's almost 2,500 passengers. If Chinese fishermen didn't got into sink, rescue the POW, force the Japanese to stop fire, the victim of the Lisbon Maru sinking, the victim is going to exceed Titanic. Titanic is 1,500. Lisbon Maru could possibly 1,800. But even Chinese fishermen forced Japanese to stop the fire and they rescued 384. But still, 828 died there. That's more than half of Titanic victims. But everybody, the whole world heard about Titanic. How many people heard about Lisbon Maru? Nobody. Very, very few. So this history, because you realize this is the last moment. Yeah. What is good about a history record is not read up by historians, right? By research. You got material evidence, you got oral history, and witness telling the story. That's the solid evidence. Yeah. So that's why you know, automatically know it's important.
Yeah, it's like a nearly forgotten story compared to other similar incidents. And for this story, your team spent almost 8 years searching for information and conducting historical investigation. So what kept you motivated despite the challenges of very limited information from the beginning?
As a matter of fact, if we just investigate the history, record the history, present the history, it is difficult, but it's not that difficult, because at the beginning we're just thinking about investigating the history and also interview the survivors and also some number of families. So that's a TV documentary. But after we visited a few families, the whole situation changed because all of a sudden we ran into multiple family, whose story is heartbreaking. Every day, our crew, we have a 7 or 8 people together. Every morning, afternoon, we visited 2 families. Here, listen to their stories. It's heartbreaking. It's so sad stories. About love, about family, about soldiers, and about long waiting for their loved ones. A documentary, a TV documentary, and a big screen documentary features a totally different scale of production. So what motivated us to bring to the big screen is because of all those human stories. That's why I want to share with you from my point of view. And thinking of Lisbon Maru is mainly family stories, human stories. What happened during the war? Individuals, not so much about the history.
Yes, and in the movie, I saw you were moved to tears when you heard about a letter from a prisoner of war to his youngest brother about taking care of their mother. At a moment like this, as a documentary filmmaker, How do you try to balance personal emotions and the rationality needed for production?
Remember, this is a big screen documentary, not a TV documentary. A TV documentary is more talk about information. A big screen is suitable or the best presentation with human feelings. So I was not realized how that happened. Because that moment when the younger brother telling me, his dad, when his dad grew up, his grandfather hand over the little letter to him, telling him this is the last letter from your brother. You're thinking about it. He was only 5 years old when his POW brother sent a letter to him, and actually asking him to love his mother, taking care of family. You're thinking of the little boy, less than 5 years old. That is the only man left at the family. You're thinking about a 22-year brother, a 22-year-old soldier, ask the little brother, taking care of the mom and the family. That letter itself already very touched me. But when the younger brother telling me, this letter stayed in his dad, the volume, for 40 years. I even saw some figures, for something like 1974. But Jesus, you immediately got hurt and touched so strongly because, this little letter, escorted Gerard for 40 years. At that moment, I cannot control myself. Of course, our cameraman catch up my moment. But at the end, I decided to put in the picture. Why is that? Because those are the families, 18 families, they are forgotten for 77 years. Now a bunch of Chinese filmmakers, a crew, 7 or 8 Chinese carry camera here, listen to their story. So I want the audience to see this is a real people-to-people's communication. But some moment I want the people, the whole world to see this tragedy happened in China. And our ancestor, Chinese fishermen, get involved for rescuing them. Today, another group of Chinese, younger Chinese, I'm the representative, rescued history.
I remember that in the movie you interview not just the families of the prisoners of war, but also the descendants of the captain of Lisbon Maru and also the descendants of the mechanic of the US Marine which launched the torpedo. So you try to approach the story with various angles. What significance do the perspectives of the later groups add to the story?
Yeah, I think that this is multiple consideration. I would say at least there's a double meaning here. One is from different angle, you get more realistic true history from multiple angle. The other thing really touched me is when I heard the torpedo mechanic at the Grouper submarine, American submarine. Year 2004, he flew into UK at Belfast for the old POW survivors reunion. Mm-hmm. He went there, expressed apology. That touches me. That's humanity. But even Captain Toyota, even he was sentenced 7 years to jail as a war criminal. I read all his court testimony, and he was forced by Japanese officer to button them down, all the POW at the bottom. But he did talk about one thing. At one moment, because Lisbon Maru was the third freighter sunk by American submarine. He's a very unlucky man. But he was talking about at one moment, he thought about a suicide. He was talking about hang him, bundle himself to the a deck, go down together with the vessel. That touches me. So my curiosity is not so much about the Japanese violence or war crime. It's more about a human being, Captain Toyota. So what did he suffer? Because in the court, he was talking about how sad, how sorry, what happened like that.
Yes, that their perspectives make the story more complete. Yeah, and when I was reading the movie reviews, I saw one of the survivors' words, I believe it was from William Bernfield, that I Live for the Future has resonated with many viewers. How do you interpret his words? And given this is a historical themed movie, how do understanding and restoring history mean for the future?
The history happened. It's a sad history, and it's a tragedy. Nobody can change it, right? When we say everybody's living for the future, let's hope the future will no war. We will have. Let's forget about what happened, and let's not have the same bad history happen again. That's my interpretation. He is putting all the suffering behind, looking for the future.
And with the release of the movie and a series of the viewing events, you've received a lot of feedbacks from the audiences at home and abroad. Is there any feedback that particularly impressed you?
Well, I'll give you one example. What really touches me, the audience reaction, is about a human feeling. I got a friend in Chengdu who sent me a WeChat record. She is telling me she has a classmate, who brought his 14-year son to the theater. The son doesn't like to sit together with dad, young kids, teenagers, right? So the kids jump in the front row. They're watching the sinking of Lisbon Maru. Before the film finished, the boy quietly come back, sit next to the dad, give dad a hug. See, so even for young kids, 14 years old, he realized how lucky he is, living in the peace, and also got a complete family, because he have seen so many young children are waiting for their dad to be home, but he feels lucky. So that's a realistic, the meaning for young kids. One of a sudden, they start to appreciate the peacetime, appreciate the family, appreciate the loved ones. So I think that this is really a big move to me.
Yeah, we're very lucky to live in peace and with happy families. Yeah.
Yes. So really, this film is not so much about crime. It's more about the love, about the families.
And I know that you have participated in production of movies across various genres, and you have experienced different market reactions. How do you think of the balance between box office success and critical acclaim?
Well, I'm doing this film is not for box at all. Box number only means how many audiences have seen this film, or how much investment you can get back. But this film really belongs to history, belongs to this country and the history. So when I do many films I produce, I more or less hope this film can last for much longer time than my life, for the children's. So that's why I think thinking of Lisbon Maru is very valuable for the history and for young generation behind me.
You are a geophysicist and also a film producer, and you chose to direct your first film in your 60s, which is a significant commitment, showing that you are willing to embrace new challenges at this stage of yourself. Do you consider yourself an idealist?
Of course, because I'm a human being. If I don't have an idealistic the goal or way of doing things and the guidance, I become a computer just for benefit. No, that's no fun. No, that's no fun. Okay, really, but this film is not I want to be a director. I'm forced to be a director because it takes so long, and plus we don't have a script. We collect the material first, and I'm just simply follow my professional training and my willingness and my commitment. When I say doing this film, it's the commitment for the history, because the last moment you catch up the window, record the history. Plus, more importantly, you run into 2,000 plus families who are forgotten. So when I hear all those stories, you cannot control yourself. You want to use motion picture to present what happened to their loved ones. So it's a personal commitment. I told everyone, this is the most important thing I have ever done in my lifetime, because I have never done one thing, single project, a single thing for 2,000 plus families. So this is a very natural and result.
Yeah, we look forward to seeing more work from you.
Yeah, so because we came to this world so short. I already spent 70 years. I don't have much left. My time left in this world less than 10,000 days. So you better catch up, hurry, do all the things you want.
Totally agree. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I told everyone, the life is too short to be old.
Those are very compelling stories of yourself and of the movie. So we really appreciate you sharing those behind-the-scenes experience of this story. Yeah. Thank you so much, Mr. Fang, for today.
Well, thank you very much for listening to me.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Right.